Hello, everybody. It's Lynnis, and welcome to Lynnis Minutes. I hope everybody had
anion product. A product, negative ions come from lightning strike, and we do not want to.
And it's really because I have a 3-part framework or process called exploration.
some quick tips, tools, and techniques that are going to aid you in midlife. We are a nation also of the walking wounded. There are people who are walking around who are traumatized and wounded and have never really dealt with any of those emotions. Now, all of a sudden, they're sitting at home, and not only are they dealing with the emotion of being at home, but they still have that other stuff too. But here's the good news. There are things that you can begin to do to address that. And you mentioned it earlier. One of the things, first of all, if you're suffering from anxiety, and I used to be an anxiety sufferer for 15 years, I know what that's like. But I learned that one of the things that you have to do, rather than push it back and ignore it, and like you said, pretend like it's not happening, is to allow yourself to feel it and work through it. And rather than being afraid of it, you have to work through it. Journal it, write about it, reach out to some of your friends and talk about it. We are all feeling things. We are all feeling things. And part of the healing process is recognizing what needs to be healed.
And that's what I was making reference to when I said we need grace and we need grit.
Yes.
I find that a lot in the spiritual community, we're like, I need God, I need God, I need God. God help me, God rescue me, God fix it, God save me, and I need God's grace. But God, I believe, also says we need grit. We need to know how to stand up, buckle up, chin up, press through, have hope, do the right thing, change your diet, change your thinking. Just know that you're going to get this warrior mentality that I'm in this to win it. I'm going to overcome it. And if I don't overcome it, thank you for the grace. But I believe that both need to be applied. I just kind of shudder sometimes when I think people just only lean on scripture and on God, this external source, not understanding it's inside of you, that grit, that ability to be resilient.
You have
and
to be willing to do the work. You have to be willing to do the work. And I was just talking to one of my dear friends earlier this morning, and Rhonda Jones, and she's the Christian meditator. She's wonderful. And one of the things that she discovered in working with her clients is that, some people want to do the work, some people don't. But you can choose. It's a choice. You can choose that even though you're feeling that emotional pain, to go ahead and begin to deal with it. And Julie, you're absolutely right. Scripture is wonderful. Having that relationship with God is something else. But let's remember, prayer without action doesn't get you as far as it would if you actually show up in your life.
As a motivational speaker, I'm not coming to tell people, oh, name it and claim it. You can have it. It's going to be all right. It may not be all right. Can you deal with it? Do you have the grit? Are you able to be resilient? Who's in your life? What investments have you made in yourself? And when you look at the word investment, inside of the word investment is vest. That means, what have you put in your heart? What have you put inside of you?
Yes.
And you're protecting it. It's like an armor, because there's so much out there on the news. If you're watching the news all day long, you are going to, if you don't get physically sick, you're going to get mentally and emotionally sick and spiritually weak. We have to know how to cope when we feel closed in, either physically or closed in with challenges of life, closed in with the bills, closed in with the children, closed in. How do you cope when life is pressing in on you? And so we want to make sure that we check on loved ones who have a propensity towards addictions, whether it's overeating or drinking, drugs, depression. How are they soothing themselves if their track record is the way they cope is to run to something externally? So for someone watching this today, Lynnis, someone may be saying, oh, they make it sound so easy and it's just fluffy. It's just airy fairy stuff. No, we're talking about doing the work.
Yeah,
we're saying that you got to confront those things that have paralyzed you, hurt you, betrayed you, let you down. The times you disappointed yourself. Come on, somebody.
Yeah.
The times you picked up the wrong thing, you made the wrong choices. You have to forgive yourself You have to do the work and get liberty. Otherwise, you are incarcerated. You have put yourself in a cell, in a prison, a mental prison. So for those of us that are saying, I hear myself when people say, how you doing? I say, I'm doing fine. But it's only because I've done the work. I've been on this journey for 35 years. Now I'll be 70 years old.
Yes, that's amazing. And you're absolutely right. It is all about doing the work. And I realized, and it brought tears to my eyes when I realized this, that I have been delivered from the throes of anxiety for so many years. When I realized that, in another time, let's say maybe even 5 years ago, and this was going on, I'd be freaking out right now. But I'm not. I have a sense of peace. I have a sense of joy. I am totally trusting God, but I'm also making sure that I feed into myself, because as an empath, it's very easy to want to not just have compassion, but to actually find a way to fix things. I have way too many followers for that. So I pray for them and I release them, because I'm not God. And I realize that if I don't keep pouring into myself and taking care of myself through self-care, I cannot be there for my family, for my husband, for my friends, for my, the people who support me, my tribe, I can't do that. And I wish that we could all take this time while we're spending time with ourselves to begin to pour into you. That's okay. Give yourself permission to do that, because I think sometimes I used to be that person. I used to feel guilty when I would get home from work, subconsciously, to even take off my suit jacket. Okay. I come home, I cook dinner, run the bath, the girls dress, do the homework, all that stuff. Finally, 9 o'clock at night comes, they're in bed, and I still have on my heels and my jacket. That's how I used to be 20 something years ago. That is no longer the case, but I did the work.